Elsewhere in Australia, Djokovic and Sebastian Korda battled it out in another Australian competition in Adelaide, worth 250 ranking points. What I want to know is, which of these player/players could have chosen to compete in the United Cup? We need to find a way as a community to create a slightly simpler narrative, because when we're talking about all of these different complexities, these great tournaments, and all of the reasons and how they're created, it takes some pretty clever minds to work out the best way to run them, which means that it doesn't always make it the most accessible sport, even to watch amongst the wider public.
If there's 500 points on offer for winning the United Cup, and you obviously, if you're in a better team, and you could still be like a lower ranked player and still be in a team where all the other players are really good, then you kind of almost like, I don't know, not cheating your way to ranking points, but sure, that's making it easier. Welcome back to the Getting Grip podcast, and Happy New Year. We haven't disappeared off the face of the earth completely. We are still here, alive and kicking, ready for a new year of tennis. Obviously, it's starting down under in Australia. We've had a few little tournaments to kick off. A new tournament in the United Cup, which we're going to discuss, and we've got a few questions about that. And then obviously we've got Adelaide Open going on at the moment, leading into the Aussie Open, which starts on Monday, so not far away now. But we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to kick off straight with some quiz stuff, seeing as people love this kind of thing. Get some conversation going, and no doubt embarrass myself as per usual. So I'm going to hand it over to Merlin to see what questions he's got lined up for me at the start of this new tennis season.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. Very excited about this, actually. A little bit of a content shake-up to bring in 2023. I think it's quite nice that we have the quiz at the start, to be quite honest. A lot of you have told us that that's your favourite part of our episodes, and I think, we'd be fools not to listen to that and bring that to the sort of the front and centre at the start of everything. And that can fuel our discussions quite nicely. Anyway... We do have 5 questions. We're going to keep a similar format for now in terms of our tennis trivia. So we've got some questions about tennis at the start of 2023, which has indeed, as Ben has said, introduced a new competition to us called the United Cup. Now, it's the first ever event of its nature, as it brings together male and female tennis in one international competition. So for that first question, I want to know, what is unique about this tournament? And I've got 4 options for you. A is, it is the first mixed gender team event in tennis. B, male and female players can both win a maximum of 500 ranking points throughout the United Cup tournament. C, qualification of countries to the United Cup, which is played based on your country of representation, is not based on ranking points. And D, the host nation this year was not able to enter. So, Ben, what do you think it is? A, B, C, or D?
I'm pretty sure it's not A or D. And then the ranking point, I've heard something about these ranking points. But I'm not exactly sure how many are on offer. 500, was it 500 you said? That sounds reasonable.
So B, male and female players can win a max 500 ranking points throughout the United Cup competition.
Could be that one. And what was the third one?
Third one, C, it was qualification of countries to the competition is not based on ranking points. Obviously, there are only a certain amount of teams that can access the competition to the round-robin stage. So not all countries in the world can attend each year.
The way you said that is making me question myself. But
you
the
got to go with your
points...
gut.
I'll stick with the rankings points. I heard something about it, but I wasn't sure exactly how many points are on offer. But I'll go with, I think it's option 2. I'll go with the ranking points.
B. Male and female players can win a maximum 500 ranking points throughout the competition. Well, I can tell you that that is correct. Ben has started the year with 1 out of 1 so far. I think you should quit ahead. You're at 100%. No, I'm only joking. We've still got 4 more questions. Yeah, so that is the unique thing about the United Cup. It's not the first mixed gender team event in tennis. No, there have been many before, and rightfully so. But it is the first on this international scale where both male and female players are able to access ranking points through the matches that they play, which is really good. So that actually means the US players who have won this year, they all each get 500 ranking points towards their rankings, which is a great start to the year. You've won a big tournament if you get 500 ranking points. What I like about this tournament personally is it accesses sort of bringing together that male and female component and sort of trying to level it out so that that's not what people consider. It's, oh, I don't prefer male tennis, I don't prefer female tennis. This tournament is about tennis and seeing the best the world has to offer, which is really good. Anyway, question 2. So, the USA were the eventual winners. Do you know who they won against in the final, Ben? Do you know that? So this isn't one of the questions. I'm just asking it anyway.
Italy.
Yeah, it was Italy. So USA were the winners. What I want to know for question 2 is how many sets did the USA, the winners, lose during that final where they won the entire competition? How many sets did they drop on their charge to the title? Your options here are 0, 1, 3, or 5. How many sets did the USA drop in the final tie with Italy at the United Cup?
0, 1, 3, or 5. That is a... Oh, I thought they'd lost 1 match. So it must be at least 2. Could be getting that completely wrong, but I'll go with that. So based on that, I'm going to say... I'll go with 3.
Is that your final answer?
Yep.
Unfortunately, that is not the right answer. You need to get a grip. Yes. Unfortunately, Ben cannot maintain a 100% record for more than 1 question. Question 2, the answer was 0. The USA dropped no sets in the final against Italy. They managed to come through it clean. This actually meant that they only played 4 matches in the tie and did not even need to use the doubles at the end, which was not played in order to show that. So that's two men winning and 2 women winning as well. With the mixed doubles not needing to be played.
I guess GB did pretty well to get 1 match then. What a Norrie.
Yeah, they did. No, Team USA have been on impeccable form. I mean, when you look at their roster, they've got, Madison Keys and Jessica Pegula. Like, they've both had a very good year last year as well, especially towards the end. Taylor Fritz really took a storm towards the end of last year in the ATP. They do have a talented squad, and that's the nice thing about a competition like this. It doesn't necessarily mean the world's number 1 for the WTA and the ATP are the ones that are winning everything, because it's very much about that team qualification and event. Okay, so 50%, 1 out of 2. Time for question 3. What I want to know, as we had this one hosted in Australia, where will 2024's United Cup be held? You have 4 options here. The answers are either England, China, the USA, or Australia. What do you reckon the answer is to where the United Cup will be held?
Well, there's only... I mean... Yeah, I don't know a lot about it, but the only 2 valid options in my head are US because they won it, or Australia. Because if I don't know if they got to play it at the same time every year. If they got to play it at the same time every year, then they'll just have to play it in Australia because it's a warm up for Australian Open. But I don't know whether they do have to play it at the same time every year. I also don't know who started whether it was like an Aussie thing that started the competition, like who's the brains behind it. This is tricky. I'll go with Australia, because I'm just going to assume that it has to be played at the same time every year, but I'm not
You're going
entirely
to back
sure.
the home crowd.
I'll go with that. Yeah, I'll go with that.
That is correct. Well done. Yes, it is indeed. 2024's United Cup will be held in Australia. In fact, it wasn't really a question. Of course, it's going to be held in Australia because it is a warm-up for the Australian Open. Not only is it a warm-up for the Australian Open, but it was invented by Tennis Australia. So there you go.
Oh God, I should know that.
Mate,
oh my God.
Yeah, given you're working out in Australia as a tennis coach. Yes, Tennis Australia teamed up with the ATP and the WTA to bring you the United Cup. And this is something that's being held across 3 major cities throughout Australia as well.
Yeah, what are those cities?
I personally think
that's a question for you.
What are those cities?
Yeah.
So it's not Adelaide, because that's obviously where. So it's Perth, Sydney, and Brisbane.
Yeah, just up the road. Yeah. I should have gone to one. I was in Sydney when it was happening, and I was in Gold Coast when it was happening. I never went to any of the matches. Next year, maybe.
You're not committed enough. Yeah, maybe next year. I'll be there next year.
Yeah, maybe I've just had enough of tennis.
Yeah, to be fair, you are allowed to have a holiday from tennis. You don't have to watch it and do
I was
about
watching it just on the TV.
Yeah, that will fuel the tennis-based nightmares that you've been having.
Yeah. Oh God.
Anyway, that is 2 out of 3 answers correct so far. So, question number 4. What I want to know is which competition has the United Cup directly replaced? So at the same time every year since 2020, another competition took its place beforehand. But obviously it was quickly realised that a much better opportunity, the United Cup, would be present. Your 4 options are the ATP Cup, the WTA Cup, the Australian Open, or the WTATP Cup.
Oh, I'm such a child. Shouldn't even laugh.
Sorry, can't resist, can I? It might not be a joke, though.
Sure. I'll go with the ATP Cup, because I seem to remember that happening, and I'm like, where's that gone? So I'll go with that.
Yes, correct again. It is indeed the ATP Cup. It ran for a grand 2 seasons, I think, which is basically the same concept, but it was only the guys that were playing in the ATP Cup. And they quickly realised that there was a good opportunity here for progressive-based tennis, which was really, really good to see. Not that the ATP Cup wasn't exciting, did very much enjoy it myself, but much, much prefer the new United Cup, which is great. Nice work. It was a pretty easy question. I quite enjoyed my 4th answer, WTA ATP Cup. Try and say that fast as well. Anyway, question number 5.
You can start that one in the UK before Wimbledon.
The UK? Yeah, all right.
England.
Anyway, question number 5. Elsewhere in Australia, Djokovic and Sebastian Korda battled it out in another Australian competition in Adelaide, worth 250 ranking points. What I want to know is which of these players could have chosen to compete in the United Cup. Your options are Sebastian Korda, Novak Djokovic, obviously those 2, both or neither. What do you reckon?
It's a good thing we got 4 options here, so you could, if you had 5 options, I don't know what you'd have to come up with for the 5th one.
No, I think I'd be a bit screwed on that one. This one, I'd just throw in someone random. Me.
Yeah. Sebastian Djokovic.
Yeah.
Well, Korda's American, so him. Was Serbia in it? God damn it, this is embarrassing. Yeah, hello darkness, my old friend.
But this is very much actually highlighting a thing that I think a lot of us tennis fans do. The sport is very complex, and there are a lot of these interesting and great competitions to watch, but they all have their own complexities. It's quite
Mm.
hard to follow all of these individual things as we go through. So don't feel bad. The question was designed this way on purpose.
I don't really know. I'll just go with Korda, but I mean Serbia could have been in it. I don't know.
You
I'll
think
go with
it'd be
Korda.
colder? So it seems that Ben has finished this quiz with 3 out of 5. Unfortunately, he is incorrect. So the United Cup is played and countries enter based on the best ranking points of their top 2 players in the respective ATP and WTA ratings. So in terms of Taylor Fritz and Jessica Pegula, for example, makes a nice high rating. They get in. And unfortunately, Sebastian Korda is not ranked that well relative to those counterparts, for example. And so, unfortunately, he does not make the top 2 guys that get to enter the United Cup as part of the squad. So, no, Sebastian Korda could not enter because he's not high enough in the rankings. Novak
Jeez.
Djokovic, unfortunately, could not enter either. And the reason for that is Serbia could not enter because, unfortunately, women's tennis in Serbia doesn't seem to produce as many highly ranked members. So, whilst you've got someone as highly ranked as Djokovic, they don't enter necessarily based on the ranking of the best WTA counterpart. And obviously, both is not correct. So, it is neither. Which is interesting. But you could also work out the question is a little bit of a red herring from the start. Because how many points is the Adelaide International worth? Did you catch that during the questions?
250.
250. So why would they choose to play the Adelaide when they could be in a 500 ranking points competition?
Oh, big brain.
You'd think they'd go for the points. You'd think they'd go for the points, especially at the start of the year. Yeah, anyway. But, and as I was saying earlier, I think this is a question that highlights the complexities of tennis and the fact that when it comes down to running these competitions, we need to find a way as a community to create a slightly simpler narrative. Because when we're talking about all of these different complexities, these great tournaments, and all of the reasons and how they're created, it takes some pretty clever minds to work out the best way to run them, which means that it doesn't always make it the most accessible sport, even to watch amongst the wider publics.
It's also interesting that.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. But I was thinking also about the ranking points. I'm like, well, if you can get 500 for winning the United Cup, albeit it's longer than a week, right? But you only get 250 for winning the Adelaide Open, and it's like, I don't know, how do you balance that? How do you make that kind of like fair? And also, if there's 500 points on offer for winning the United Cup, and you obviously, if you're in a better team, and you could still be like a lower ranked player, and still be in a team where all the other players are really good, then you kind of almost like, I don't know, not cheating your way to ranking points, but sure, that's making it easier to get those ranking points. Whereas like someone like Novak, who obviously in any competition would be like one of the most likely to get all the points, can't even get in the competition. It's like, I don't know. I like, yeah. Well, we can discuss this. We can discuss this now as a whole kind of theme, the United Cup. But yeah, that is
personally,
the quiz,
I think I've got to say, I think it's an element of tennis that I'm glad exists. And whilst the downfalls are blatantly obvious, what I do think it provides is far more benefits, especially in terms of making more of a statement, more of an impact in a mixed gender event, which I think is really nice, especially a team event, because you can't imagine, say, football having a mixed gender World Cup. Maybe it will happen one day, but you can't, at the moment, you can't imagine that. And there are a lot of other sports which are very similar, team sports, where you can't imagine a mixed gender sort of World Cup, put it that way. But tennis is now offering that. And I think that's a really good thing to see in terms of not only the progression that should be occurring, but also in terms of, consumer watching of sport. It's really nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know, with the football thing, like, if you had the women's and the men's World Cup going at the same time, I think there's different issues with that. Like, obviously, I don't know, football fans get a bad rep, don't they? And it's like, if you're having...
What I'm talking,
Go on.
I was going to say, what I'm talking about here is not having them on at the same time. What I'm having it is the idea of a mixed gender team.
Oh, the
World
actual
Cup.
team.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you can't imagine that now. Maybe one day that will happen, but you can't imagine it now. So,
yeah, I suppose, yeah, because obviously, yeah, in tennis you got that on a small scale, haven't you, with mixed doubles? Otherwise, it's still female against female when you're doing singles and stuff.
yeah.
No, I do like the dynamic though. Like, it seemed to me, and I don't think this is just because of the ranking points, that like there was some serious like competition in those matches throughout the United Cup. Like, I think, and that must be also to do with the fact you're playing for your country and there's that camaraderie. And we saw that in the Labour Cup as well, didn't we? Where like it's that different dynamic to what you normally get. Players who are normally competing against each other, even if you're from the same country, are now like on each other's team. You're in your own little like box area. And, there's that dynamic, like when you saw like you'd have TFO in the box watching like Fritz or whatever, like cheering him on, and kind of different stuff you get from that you wouldn't normally see.
It definitely makes tennis more appealing to a wider audience. I think there's a big shift at the moment, which is very clever worldwide in terms of making it more accessible and more appealing to that wider audience. But people that don't necessarily give much of a care about tennis, loads of people, for example, watch football when it's the World Cup because they're like, oh, it's the World Cup, it's international. You want to support your country. And maybe tennis is able to brand itself in that sense, and with even more progression in terms of a mixed event, to have that same element, that camaraderie, the country element. Oh, yeah, well, I don't really watch the Australian Open, but I really love the United Cup beforehand because you see a different side to tennis. You can hear someone saying that. And hopefully we're going to get that voice coming out in the next few years.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on like what you think of this new competition, and tennis has kind of moved to a bit more kind of team-based stuff as well. And does it bring in different crowds? Is it like a good way of growing tennis as a sport? Let us know your kind of thoughts on that. But yeah, was it 3 out of 5 for me in the quiz?
3 out of 5.
Standard score, isn't it, really?
I'm very much hoping that people at home have done better than that.
Wow. I'm hoping people at home watch more tennis than me, even though I work in tennis, but yeah.
Work in Tennis Australia.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be getting a job offer from them after that.